Hello, and welcome back to the Diverge Podcast. First pod since April, end of April, and we are back with the resumption of the racing season. It all got underway again, got really busy as August kicked off with the Glacier Storms River Traverse, Trans Baviaans, and the SPAR Swiss Epic. But looking back through the winter and the dark winter months, we had some Ford Trailseeker racing, and then of course the Andorra Epic as well. So lots to catch up on. Lots to look forward to in the coming months as well. We'll be podding a little bit more consistently and regularly as the racing carries on and gets busier towards the end of the year. But let's dive right in with the Trailseeker. Back in June in Bosveld was where Marc Joubert's drive to win the R1 million by winning every single edition of this year's Ford Trailseeker came unstuck. He punctured about 2Ks from the finish and missed out there on the sprint finish, missed out on the R1 million. He still leads the overall series though, so still 100,000 rand up for grabs there to win the overall series. So that's good news for Marco and for Imbuko ChemChamp. There is one more race to come, and that is Wellington in September. In July, Imbuko missed the July event at Van Gaalen. Marc Pritzen won there, and Tyler Jacobs came back for a bit of a break from European racing, from cross-country racing, and absolutely smashed the women's field over the marathon distance. So that's very cool to see. Of course, Tyler doesn't regularly race marathon events. F&B Wines to Wales, the two times that she's done that with Candice Lull and won alongside her. Pretty much only marathon races that she has done before. So very cool to see her, even if it is just briefly, back in South Africa ahead of her second half of the season, gearing up for the World Champs at the end of August, beginning of September. And then in Andorra, Clementisi Joubert, they won the Andorra Epic over the Singer Racing team. Mark Stutzman and Sebastian Geschke won there. They were pretty strong, and it is Clementisi's first Epic Series victory as well, which so a big result for the team, which has really stepped up another level this year with Joubert coming on board, and they also did very well at the Swiss Epic, as we'll get to in a little bit. And then, of course, into the more recent events, and August to me always means it's when it's when I start to get busier again with events. And it always starts with the Storms River Traverse in Tsitsikamma, another fantastic edition. It's always muddy. There's no lying about it. It is always muddy in the Tsitsikamma forest, but it was pretty much as dry as it gets. We had a bergwind for the last day as well, which really dried it out as well. And it's that like a mix of social riding, but also the guys that want to race can really race. We saw the team Dream SA team, Travis Rademan Luca and Jordan Boshoff. They won the men's race pretty comfortably, pretty comprehensively, and it'll be good to see them at some other stage races later on in the year. I know they're doing Cape Pioneer Trek together as well. And then in the women's event, Sarah Hill and Steph Walters, they won there as well, also very comprehensively. Didn't really have that much competition. Yolandi de Villiers raced with her daughter Chantal, as she has done at Storms River for the last couple of years. But Sarah and Steph were well ahead of Yolandi and Chantal. And they also testing out a partnership for Cape Pioneer Trek, which takes place last weekend of September and into October. So they're looking good for that. And then, of course, Sarah did go on to take part in the Trans Baviaans this year as well. Her first participation in the Trans Baviaans since 2019. She won 3 in a row with Teresa Ralph, including taking the record, which it still stands at 8 hours and 57 minutes, I believe. So a pretty fast time there for the women's race record, which no one really has got close to. And again, this year, Sarah and her 3-woman team with Ricky Lee Brookstone and Stacey Paul were an hour and a half off that record. Sarah says that at Waterpoint 2, at checkpoint 2, at Zandvlakte, 93 kilometers in, they were already 17 minutes behind Teresa Ralph's 2018 time. That's what Sarah raced with Teresa Ralph in 2018. So yeah, a long way off it, and just shows how dominant that combination was. Then Sarah did also mention how good the weather conditions were that year. So it'll be very tough to match those absolutely perfect weather conditions too. The men's race, though, has sort of shown just how fast gravel bikes really can be over a course like that. And I think it's something that we then saw in Leadville kind of at the same time as well, of people putting drop bars on mountain bikes for a slightly different reason. But for Trans Baviaans, the whole thought process behind that was just to have as big as possible a chainring, so that you can really pedal those long downhill stretches, not spin out, keep your average speed up. And the Insect Science guys did just that. Keegan Bontekoning and Arno de Toy had broken the record by over 23 minutes in 2024 with their first attempt at the Trans Baviaans as a team. Came back 2025, rode gravel bikes, but with 2.3-inch wide mountain bike tires on their gravel bikes. They had to rely on the flip chip in their giant revolts for the back wheel, flip it out to the longer setting to get the biggest possible tire in. And they took 3 minutes and 44 seconds off their previous best. So, another good effort there, another really, really fast time. And their final time for 230 kilometers was 7 hours, 25 minutes and 21 seconds. Imbuko ChemChamp was second, 7 hours, 40. So that would have comfortably been a record by almost 20 minutes until last year. And Jan Vitar and Herman Ferry, 7 hours, 58:04, also beating the sunset. And that would have been just about quick enough to break the record before Arno and Keegan broke it in 2024. So it just shows you how fast those races are becoming. And I think that's going to influence quite a lot of that sort of event. We've seen it with 361 already, gravel bikes being faster, Trans Baviaans now. And I think looking ahead to the gravel burn in the middle of October, I think it's gonna change the landscape of South African endurance cycling a bit. And yeah, the way that mountain bikes have sort of gone back towards, or gravel bikes have sort of merged towards mountain bikes, and mountain bikes have merged towards gravel bikes, and that ultra endurance discipline. I think we're going to see some interesting tech things in the next couple of years as well with bike frames. You almost want a 2014 era hardtail mountain bike with those steep head tubes to really be able to ride with drop bars. So if you've got one of those lying around, you could make a very interesting conversion there. Though of course you will struggle to get a big single ring on that. But maybe you can go back to 2x. Maybe we'll see 2x come back, all those classified hubs with the what essentially works as a chainring, but in your hub being able to give you a 2x sort of setup. Maybe those will be the way that it all shakes out in the next couple of years. It'll be interesting to watch nonetheless. But here are the guys, the winners. Keegan Bontekoning, Arno de Toy, and then the women's winners, Sarah Hill, Stacey Paul, and Ricky Lee Brookstone, with their thoughts on the 2025 Trans Baviaans.
Arno, seconds after you broke the course record for the second time in 2 years, what can you say about that ride?
Yeah, I mean, I knew we were coming on gravel bikes, but then I had to find out on social media about this record-breaking attempt. I actually thought we were going to have a slightly more relaxed approach, so yeah, but it was cool. I think it put the other guys in a good position to just sit wheel all day, because they were like, oh well, you guys obviously made a statement, so go and get it. So everyone was just following. It was really negative early on. I was quite over it.
I have your phone.
But yeah, it seemed like all of them just blew up, and we could carry speed over Mac all the way down. And yeah, we were both really good, and none of us really blew. So yeah, we could just keep the speed up. And it's a bloody hard ride on the gravel bike, but it is fast.
This is why you're not allowed making decisions normally, eh?
Yeah, I know. I think we weren't on the same page there. I mean, I looked at the wind and I knew it's going to be very similar to last year. So, yeah, I think it would be cool to come on the gravel bikes, give it a shot, try go for the record again. And yeah, really happy with how it turned out. It was a bit confusing there at the beginning when Arnu didn't come with me with the Fuel X guys and put us in a bit of a tricky situation. But I think we managed it quite well. And yeah, just glad that we got a bit of experience. We know each other really well and we know our riding style. So yeah, we just stuck to the plan and kind of worked out well.
What were you thinking when Tristan and them went away on Mac? I mean, obviously Tristan is a very strong climber. Were you kind of banking on Lull starting to suffer?
We could kind of see that they actually weren't really gapping us much on the descent. Our giant revolts were really phenomenal. Like they really didn't gain much. Actually, they didn't gain nearly as much as what I thought they would. And yeah, by the time I knew they were going really hard to get a gap on the rough stuff. So by the time we hit Mac, I think they didn't know Mac was coming. And yeah, well, we knew what to expect. So yeah, faced it really well.
Thank you.
Sarah, tell us, let's start right at the beginning.
Okay.
From the start, it looked like you got into a relatively decent group, but it wasn't plain sailing that first 100 Ks.
No. Yeah. So having done trances before with Theresa Rolf, we've always gone as hard as possible in the first hour so that we could find that group. And this year, I haven't raced trans with so many gravel bikes, so it completely changes the dynamic. I mean, the gravel bikes are quick in some sections, so it changed how much we were chasing. And we kind of found ourselves in a group, but they would climb away, we would catch. And it was quite tough on that flat corrugated section, which I still believe is the hardest part of the whole route. We got a puncture, and then we had the group behind catch us. And, you know, the thing about being in the front is you never know how close second and third place is. So you always ride with that like hint of anxiety and you just want to be as fast as possible. So I can actually keep going. I think so. We then hit the Baviaans Kloof area going into the Bergpass climb. Rick's suffered a little. I think, you know, we all found our really suffering spaces today. But it was all about just getting to our box. And I'm so impressed with Trans Baviaans' organization. As soon as we got there, the guys were like, how can we fill your bottles? Let's grab your box. Can I get you anything? The soup and the bread is still the winning combination of how to find your legs again.
Yeah.
But then when we were there at Bergplaats, second place, I swear second place was there. And I think it was those adventure girls, which are super strong. Like never doubt an adventure racer because they are so tough. So I had to hustle my friends and I'm scared that I have semi-traumatized them now at the finish line. You'll have to ask them.
Stacey, first Trans Baviaans experience.
Yes.
What was it like up there at Bergplaats and then knowing 140 Ks on the legs and you've still got a tough 100 to go?
Yeah, and it put a bit of pressure. So I'm losing my voice from all the dust, I think. When we saw that second team, I think it was the second team, we had a bit of pressure on us and I was like, oh boy. And yeah, we descended through there. My descending is not as good as these two. So yeah, I tried to just hang on. And then we got into such a good group and really pushed the next section to the next checkpoint. So I think that helped us just get ahead and make us feel a bit more positive. Because we were like, oh yeah, I was like, if these chicks catch us, like mentally, I'm going to be done.
Yeah.
So
Now let's mention how you felt there at the bottom of Mini Mac towards the end. Because it looked like you were really struggling. And then...
yes.
all at the bottom.
I fell, yes. So my light was coming loose as well. So I was cramping in my hand, not my legs, because I was having to hold the light in place. But then as soon as I would descend with the bumps, it would move. And then I couldn't see anything. Then I saw bush. And then I pulled the brakes and went over quite hard. But I was fine. Got up, carried on. I managed to catch back to them. And I wasn't very happy then, though. I was like, I should have sorted this light out.
Is that then why Ricky was riding behind you for that next section? So that you had a light?
Yeah. I said it would help It helps if I just stay tight with them, especially on the descents. Otherwise, I'm like, get nervous, then I break.
How long have you been back on the bike for?
Started back in, I'd say, December. So it's been a while after my op. But it's so good to be back. I'm just not at 100%. I don't know what I was thinking riding with the toughest of the tough. Sarah was the most amazing partner. So was Stace. I actually felt like I was a GC rider. I was like being protected by my team, but I didn't have the GC legs. Yeah, so just amazing teammates. And it was so special to do it with them. It's my 1 year anniversary post my op from iliac artery surgery. So to do it with my friends has been the most special thing. You know, I said to them, friends who suffered together stay together.
We'll be friends for
We're
life.
gonna be friends for life now. Like we've been in very dark places together.
And then the last event we're going to look at in this week's show is the SPAR Swiss Epic. The 2025 edition wrapped up on Sunday, 17th of August, and it was the 12th edition. Vera Lauser and Alexis Sakata dominated the women's race, won 4 of the 5 stages. The stage they didn't win, that day's winners were penalized with an hour time penalty, though their stage results stood. They got an hour time penalty for drafting a men's team. And they slipped off the front of a little women's group. They were sort of all watching each other in the closing 10 kilometers or so. So a real dominant performance there from Vera and Alexis. It is Vera's first victory in the Epic Series this year. She has finished second on 4 occasions. So second with Alexis Sakata at the Absa Cape Epic, second with Bianca Hoare at 4 Islands Epic, second with Danielle Stradom at 3 second places, second with Danielle Stradom at the Andorra Epic. So to break that run of second places, it's a fantastic result for Vera. Be interesting to see if she can convince Alexis to come out for Wines to Wales at the end of the year as well. The two of them really enjoy racing together and are forming a really strong partnership, especially on the climbs where they are very evenly matched. In the men's race, a little bit closer racing there, especially because Clementese Joubert were the strongest climbers in the race. They lost 7 minutes with a puncture that cracked Samuel Iporo's rear rim on the first day. He had to nurse at home, and that handed the advantage to Tupara Kenda, FSA, Casey South, and Fabian Robinsteiner. Fabian and Casey then managed the gap to Clementese Joubert on stage 2, ended up losing like 30 odd seconds, really kept it pretty tight, raced very intelligently. On the stage 3 time trial, they proved themselves to be the fastest. Casey in particular was very, very powerful. They won that stage by 1 minute and 14 seconds, took back the time that they'd lost on the previous day. The next day, going over the Scaletta Pass at 2,600 meters above sea level, there were thunderstorms. The race was paused for a bit for the mid and backpack markers. The men's and women's race leaders, the fastest teams, they went over before the lightning arrived up at the top and made it dangerous. And that stage was won by Clementese Joubert as well. Again, the Tupara Kenda FSA team managed the gap. Last day, again, the Metallurgica Venta team went on an early attack. They were brought back. Then Clementese Joubert attacked as well. And Fabian Robinstein and Casey South just sort of, again, managed it. They could have dug deeper. They could have bridged across them. They could have closed down the gap, but they didn't need to. They could ride more conservatively, watch out for punctures, and they ended up finishing 3rd on the day, but winning the overall quite comfortably by 5 minutes and 21 seconds. So fantastic result there for Tupara Kenda FSA. Also their first victory in the Epic Series. So good result there for another team that's stepped up in its quality this year with the switch of Velia Vittoria from a marathon team into a cross-country focused team. Robin Steiner and Porro leaving that team, having to look for new rides, one going to Clematese or Bath, the one going to Paro Kenda FSA. And good to see both of them up near the top of the racing again, though it is weird to see them racing with other people and not with each other. And that is it for this week's show, getting back into the swing of it. As always, you can read all the news on diverge.info. All the stories mentioned here are on the website. You can find those links in the show notes, or just go to diverge.info and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X as well. Subscribe on Spotify and stay tuned for more news from the world of mountain biking and maybe some trail running as well over the coming months. Thanks for listening. Cheers.